From these mannequins, but goddamn, get it done, will ya? When I blow up now, everybody's so unusual.
Welcome back to Mark Hollis's vlog. Thanks everybody for joining in on this beautiful, sunshiny kind of an afternoon. I really do appreciate it, guys. I know you guys enjoyed last week's video. We talked about maintenance of the F Type and what it means and how important it is. But today, why don't we talk about something a little bit more interesting, and that really is about how I got to the point where I bought the F Type. I mean, there's massive competition out there. There's amazing cars from BMW and Maserati and Jaguar and Mercedes and Porsche, and I mean the list goes on and on. I could go on, and even some of the supercars, Audis, the R8s, and all kinds of things to talk about. But I'm going to show you guys, we're going to walk through it today, some of the cars. I'll give you some samples of cars that I was strongly looking at before I bought the F Type. And if you guys would ever considered some great performance cars, I'm going to point you in that direction. I'll give you some great alternatives to the F Type. Although personally, that's how I got to this, is because I drove all of those cars and the F Type is that good. That's why I bought it. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So I want to share that with you, but I'm going to show you some great competition out there. Not only that, at the end of the video, be sure to stick around because I'm going to show you a little modification, just a little one I did to my Jaguar, the first mod for the F Type. So you're definitely going to want to stick around to the very end, but let's go take a look and see what kind of competition the F Type has and what I was really considering. Let's get into it now. And so here we have a pair of cars that I considered buying even before the F Type R as well. Here we have a 996 turbo. These have about 420 horsepower, all-wheel drive. This is around a 2001, 2002. And then the other one is the one I really like, 991 generation, around a 2017. Those have about a 3.8 liter flat six, twin turbocharged engine. They make anywhere from 540 in the Turbo S form, 580 horsepower, all-wheel drive. You have the PDK transmission. And I really like these cars, particularly. I mean, look at the headlights. That is a thing of beauty. See, the 996 turbos, they have this funky thing here. That's something most enthusiasts weren't in love with, but these cars are in fact very, 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 very good cars. And because they're both turbos, we have an 01 and we have like a 17. We got about 15 years plus between these two. You'll notice they're still very similar. So we go around. Take a look from the back. They still have your classic wide body going on with the turbos. Of course, the 996 generation has a fairly good flare to it, and of course the 991 generation has a pretty good flare to it. You've got the wing. This one here has a hydraulic wing associated with it that commonly fails, and then you have another wing on this guy too as well. You notice the tail lights are quite different as well. But all things considered, they're very, very similar cars. Obviously, you've got the double pipe on both sides, the quad pipe, same thing over here. In spirit, these cars are very, very much the same, and that's the beauty of the 911, and that's why I considered buying a 911, is because whatever year you buy a 911, they're still true to their spirit. And you know, the rear engine configuration, you've got the, well, originally air-cooled, now they've moved to liquid-cooled, but the spirit is there. The profile of the car is still very much the same, and honestly, I've loved these cars for years. I love this new generation 991, I think is the prettiest 911 to date, but I mean, there's lots of great choices. Now, this car here had either a manual gearbox, you could row the gears, or a Tiptronic automatic, which was not really that great of a gearbox. So really you wanted to get the manual. This one here, different depending on the generations and the specific years, you can get a manual or a PDK, or just a PDK, which is their dual clutch transmission, 7-speed in here. Just an amazing car. That's why this car was one that was high on my list, but likely would have gone more for a Carrera or Carrera S, just because the sheer cost of this. I would probably hold off on that for the time being. And another car that's very, very high on my list is actually right here, and that's the Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio. And these cars have a 2.9 liter V6 that actually has 2 turbos push and boost through this thing. 8-speed automatic, shifts lightning fast. It might as well be a double clutch because it certainly feels like one. These things are awesome. I mean, look at the brakes on this, massive compared to the regular C4 model over there. And I love the overall style. You've got carbon fiber accents along the side. You've got these massive wheels, these P's on P0s. You've got carbon fiber here on the back, on the lip, the quad tailpipes, and you've got this beautiful splitter back here. Beautiful car all the way around. Look at the lines of that thing. This quad was actually very, very high on my list. 505 horsepower, it's certainly not leaving for want. These cars are faster than almost anything out there. I would have actually taken this over an M4, if you can believe that, or an M3. I love these cars. Now, reliability seems to be a bit questionable. Electrical gremlins galore with these cars, but honestly, if you can get past that and actually maintain these, particularly through the warranty period, these are phenomenal cars. I love them. Let me just take a look, even the front end of these things. Your classic Alfa look, the classic grille on the front with the Alfa. Very, very tasteful car all the way around. Just a thing of beauty. You've also got carbon fiber on here too. Everything says performance with the quad. And that there is actually one of the reasons I decided not to buy a Corvette. Actually, I was looking very, very closely at a current generation or a C7 Z06. I think those things are fantabulous in terms of performance. And what do we have here? We have more F types, but there is the new one right here. Now the question is, would I buy a new one and replace the older one with that new model? Let's take a look and we'll just do a quick couple of comparisons. So here we have a couple of outgoing F types. We have a convertible and we have a coupe just like mine. Now, over here we have a brand new F type. This is the brand new model. You'll notice the headlights right there. Entirely different looking car from the outgoing model. Obviously, like mine, you've got that longer light, and here you've got the sleeker light. These are basically based on the Aston Martin Vantage, and so they had to follow some of the design cues. The hood vents, not as impressed, I'm not gonna lie. I actually like the painted hood vents that you see on the current generation or the model outgoing like mine. If we look at this, again, the headlights are a thing of, you know, which one do you prefer? I guess they're just different. Going along here, you've got this different style of vent, little Jaguar symbol on there. The mirrors are pretty much the same. The side skirts, the body panels are identical. So basically everything back from the A-pillars, I mean the A-pillars being here, everything back looks pretty much the same. The mirrors, the doors, the wheels are different, of course. But then we look at the back, the taillights are a little nicer. I'm not gonna lie, this is a wee bit sleeker for sure, F-type. This one's the V6, obviously. The center tailpipes. So that's a good looking back end on these cars. But here is more or less the replacement version of mine. Obviously you can see this is the R. And if you look down here, you've got this extra piece. My car here, the outgoing has an upper section, but this has been added on. So that's new. The pipes look the same. Everything else kind of looks the same. The taillights are a wee bit different. Even this panels are all the same, other than they matched the color, of course, the car color. But this very much looks the same as the outgoing models, just like mine. How about the interior? Well, the big thing there that they did with the interior is a digital display. That's the big thing that's unique for this next generation. And of course, the front end, as I said, you've got a different hood, you've got a different set of headlights, and the grille in the front is substantially different than what you find in the outgoing model. Of course, mine being a lot more like this with the bar in the middle, and these being more wide open. Again, more in line with the current, all the cars are going now with the big mouth grills just like this. This ruins it. That's got to go away. And what kind of performance luxury car search would it be if I didn't include one of my favorites? We all know that I've been driving BMWs for a long time. So let's take a look, because this here car is one that was very, very high on my list, and that is the brand new F90 BMW M5. These cars here have a 4.4 liter twin turbo V8. They've got an automatic transmission. They've got a four-wheel drive system that you can turn off 100%. You can switch it off. You've got 600 horsepower, or closer to 620 if you get the competition like this particular car. These are amazing. Luxury car that can crack 3 seconds in the 0 to 60. These are phenomenal cars, extremely fast. And this was high on my list of cars to actually buy. I ended up buying the F-Type because the F-Type just did a few extra things for me in terms of, you know, fun factor, the look, the sound. Really, it was a very, very tough decision because these cars are so good. As a matter of fact, the F-Type just did that extra little thing. It just, the sound and that style is really what set it off for me. The M5 competition was really close. It's one of the best cars out there today. And there's another car I was thinking about buying right there. We have a RS3 that's basically got the turbocharged 5-cylinder engine, makes about 400 horse. I love these cars, but I also was looking at the TTRS. So it uses the same 5-cylinder turbocharged engine, again, making 400 horsepower. But the TTRS was one that I actually made a deal on, and the RS3 was one that I was also looking closely at. because it's a wee bit more practical. You've got 4 doors and a trunk in this one, so it was a bit more, made a bit more sense, you know, from a practicality standpoint. So I was really looking at the RS3. I've all the cars from the RS series of Audis were on my radar. I was looking at RS3s, RS5s, and the RS7. As a matter of fact, I was looking very, very hard at a lot of RS7s just before I bought the Jag as well. I was kind of torn about whether I wanted something of that size, because I felt like it felt like a lot bigger car than you typically get, and it's certainly bigger than the F Type, or it felt that way anyway. So I wasn't sure I wanted to go full size car like you get typically in the RS7, but trust me, that was close on the list, because that is a seriously quick car. One of the most attractive sedans, sports sedans, or I guess we wouldn't call it a sedan so much, but either way, the RS7 was very high on the list as well. And like I said, there's so much competition, I found it was actually excellent because you had a lot of great choices. So another couple of notable mentions that I thought I'd include in this, that I didn't stumble across one here today, but honestly, I was looking at a first generation R8 as well. I wanted to get a gated shifter car. If I could have found, you know, even a V8 R8 with a manual, that would have been the cat's patootie. So I had actually made an offer on an S-tronic car. It was a coupe, it was black on black, it was sharp, it had 2 sets of wheels, but I just felt, I made an offer on it. The more I thought about it, the car looked, I thought, I wasn't in love with the history of it, but anyway, so that was another car that was on the radar, and I was actually looking at buying an R8 because those cars really are that good as well. And then I tried another couple cars as well, a Toyota Supra. That's the hottest car this year. Well, it was the hottest car last year. It's kind of passé now. But the new Corvette C8 was another one that I had looked at. So I walked into the dealer, had a look around, had a quick peruse, looked at the car. It was pretty cool. I mean, with the red paint, it was pretty flashy. I love the looks of it. Very aggressive looking. I feel it needs something on the back, possibly a wing. But it looks very sharp, and it's very promising. It's a very promising looking car. I feel that it was definitely on the radar, and for the price I paid for my car, I could have possibly picked up a one of those new Corvettes. Certainly, for the price of what I paid for my used 2018 Jag F Type, I could have got a base spec, or pretty much a base spec Corvette C8. So that was definitely on the radar. I looked at that actually quite closely. I know I've done videos on my other channel about it, some good things, bad things, but at the end of the day, it is impressive nonetheless, and it's phenomenal value if you outfit it as the base model. But I find once you go online and you spec out your car, you do the build your own, and you find out and you check every box, you find it's not the value that everybody claims it to be. It's actually way overpriced in my opinion for what it is. But if you buy the base version, that's the car to get. And I was actually looking at that. I thought about that very closely. I considered it. It's still one of the hottest cars, performance cars on the market this year. So there's a lot of people loving it. It's got a lot of press, but that's because it's a great car to drive. Now there are some quality control related issues with it. So, I mean, that's to take note. Of course, there's bad stitching, panel fitment. You've got panel gaps that just weren't ideal. So there are things with it, but get past that. It's an amazing car nonetheless. Okay, let's take a look at that mod, guys. Here, let's show you. So as you can tell, the F Type R is truly a thing of beauty. It really needs almost no modifications. It is truly spectacular. But anyhow, let's take a look at that mod. And it's a very little one, but I might have to show you guys and see what you guys think. Drop a line below. Let me know in the comments if that was a waste of time or effort. So there it is, everyone. So what do you guys think of that stripe on the front splitter? I think it just looks, give it the extra zing. But personally, I think the rest of the car just looks so darn great that I don't think you need it. But I did another little piece of that vinyl. Take a look. What do you guys think on the rear splitter there? We actually put some of that vinyl right down there. It seemed like the spot that it just sort of needed that extra little accent. And I think what the point of this was just to bring a little focus away from all the gray, bring a kind of focus in on some of the sharp points and the low and the profile of the car. I just think that's what it needed because the car is so dark all the way around. But thanks a lot, everybody. I know you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to drop a line. And hey, if you're not already a subscriber, be sure you do. And as well, hey, if you've got friends that also enjoy these cool cars, be sure to let them know about the channel as well. We're trying to build it up. And we will be doing a prize giveaway at some point here in very, very near future. But again, as I say, if you enjoy the cars, drop a line. If you also thought that modification wasn't really necessary, I'd like to hear that. And also in the comments, please, if you could, leave a note down there what you thought. Was this the best choice of the cars I showed you today? Or was this really the ultimate choice in that selection that I offered? And the choices that I had to consider when buying a car in that sort of price range. Anyway, thanks for coming out, guys. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.